We all deal with the Sunday scaries, right? Sunday scaries are those oh shit, stressful, nervous, can't sleep, dread feelings that hit you on Sunday evenings when you think about work or just freaking life. Unfortunately, you can feel that same pit in your stomach any day of the week. Thankfully, Sunday Scaries CBD gummies were made to defeat the crap that life throws at us. These are the perfect CBD gummies for professionals on the grind, super moms, students, party animals, and everyone in between. Look, I get really nervous before these interviews that we do. So I take 2 CBD gummies every Sunday before these interviews, and the Sunday scaries are gone. I have no problem with these interviews. So we've partnered with Sunday Scaries to bring you an incredible offer. Head over to sundayscaries.com and use promo code deluxe15 at checkout to get 15% off of your entire order. That's sundayscaries.com and use promo code deluxe15 at checkout to save 15% off of your entire order.
This is Take on the World with
Johnny.
and Mike. And, people always ask me, hey, you got a podcast? What's it about?
I don't know. You ever want to cut your fingers off or learn about a sharp knife?
We could tell you that.
How about murder mysteries or hauntings or any kind of fringe subject?
Anything you could think of. We take on everything because we take on the world.
Now you go take on the world.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Deluxe Edition. I am your host, Casey Shearer. Joining me, as always, the 10-cent beer night, L. Ray Sexton.
What's going on, Casey?
Not too much, buddy. How are you?
We're having a great day today.
Yes, we are. Before we get into the house cleaning, tell everyone who our guest was tonight.
Our friend Gregory.
Our friend Gregory.
Our friend Gregory. Good guy. A lot of fun to talk to.
Real good guy. You might know Greg from television shows such as It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Hunter, Murphy Brown, Head of the Class, Walker, Texas Ranger, Silk Stockings, Days of Our Lives, Baywatch Nights, or movies such as Cliffhanger, The Last of the Dogmen, Cahoots, The Italian Job, or Johnny Virus. Gregory Scott Cummins.
Action USA.
Oh, dude, Action USA is one of my favorite movies. Like, I know as a personal friend, like Greg's like, man, I can't believe you like all these shitty movies I was in. But it's like, dude, I love these movies.
Good. It's good.
Real good. So, yeah, we talked to Greg, and he's also in Bosch and Bosch Legacy, Amazon Prime, and now Freezy. Bosch Legacy is on Freezy. So go check those out. He's on the new season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But before our interview with Greg, let's just do the quick house cleaning. We are a part of the Deluxe Edition Network. You can find all of the other great shows over at deluxeeditionnetwork.com. The podcasts of the month for November are Beard Laws and Take on the World. Go check them out. Beard Laws is on YouTube and anywhere else you can listen to podcasts. And same as Take on the World. They're everywhere, YouTube and everywhere else you can find podcasts. We are on Instagram at Deluxe Edition Pod. Ray, what do you do over on the Instagrams?
I post nonsense and bullshit all day long over on Instagram. So if that's the kind of things you like, head on over there. Find out what celebrity's birthday it is today, or what movie came out, or just see some meme about poop. Nobody knows what I'm going to post. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's so much fun. I've been laughing at a lot of the memes lately on our Instagram. All right. Let's see. If you'd like to check out all of our other shows, you can go over to deluxeedition.show. All of the other shows are over there. Come over and check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/deluxeeditionpod. If you'd like to support the show, come over to patreon.com/deluxeeditionpod and find the show immediately after it's recorded and unedited. If you would like to know what Ray and I talk about off air, sign up today. And what else, Ray? What am I missing?
If you want your grandmother's picture on a mug, you can head over to the 10-cent beer night podcast at TeePublic and just, send me a picture. You can do it on Instagram to our Deluxe Edition page, and I'll put it on our page. Everybody can get a picture of your grandma on a cup. The holidays are coming.
Yeah.
You can actually send me a picture of anything, and I'll just put it up there, as long as you're going to buy it.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be an image that you own.
Nah, I don't care. It could be a picture of somebody else's grandmother. I really don't care. It could be a picture of B. Arthur.
All right. Let's see. And if you want an official Deluxe Edition t-shirt, go over to whatamanover.net/collections/deluxe-edition. All right. Am I missing anything, Ray?
I don't think so.
Anything else you want to tell the people?
No.
Maybe about following?
No. All right, fine. Look, can you help us out? Our Facebook page could use a couple more followers. It's not asking a whole lot if you just head over there, hit the like button. And if you're in the mood, you could hit Instagram and YouTube and just like all that, and maybe leave a review on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or wherever you listen to us. Maybe spend 3-4 hours just liking things and leaving comments. Maybe you're pooping or at the doctor's office, or you're just bored at work. You could help us out a lot with those simple little things.
Yeah, it really helps a lot. So rate, review, tell your friends, subscribe, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now, here's our chat with our friend, Gregory Scott Cummins. Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good looking.
Yeah, you are. Looking good, man.
Yeah, well, I'm about almost 3 weeks. I've been fighting COVID here. I'm tested negative about 5-6 days ago, but I still have a little stuff I'm dealing with. But other than that, all is well.
That sucks, man. How do you know how you got it?
No,
No,
idea. I just got
out and about.
The 18th. I got a cold. It got really bad, and then I tested myself, and first time I got COVID, I have no idea. People are going around without masks, and it's in the air more. I think I'm just shopping or something. I don't know, but I've been getting all my vaccinations and everything, but maybe that helped make it not worse. I don't know, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, buddy, man, you look good though, man. It's been a while, man.
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
But you guys doing okay?
Yeah, so far so good. I just got laid off, but other than that,
yeah, you mentioned that. Wow, what a pain that is, huh?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Jeez. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's slow for all of us. We've been on strike for a while, so not a lot happening. But But actually, for me, that's been good. I had a back surgery you know about it, 8 months ago. So I'm still kind of recovering from that. So actually wasn't too bad timing for me because I would be able to do a lot of stuff anyway.
What's going on with the strike? Tell us about that. Any news on that? I know you've been on the front lines with a lot of those strikes. I've seen the pictures. You get down there and pick it with the people.
Just waiting, no details. Got another potential comeback from the producers, and there are negotiating committees going over it. But this has been a needed thing. 14 years we've given them discounted pay up front for a long time for the streaming stuff, and very little on the back end, or nothing in the beginning. And and a lot of the TV and film stuff that goes to theater or TV, they're not rerunning stuff anymore, where we used to get residuals from it, but it's just going to streaming as well. So the blue collar actor income has gone way down over the last 14 years, a little more every year, more and more and more. So that's what we're fighting right now. It's changed the whole model of how actors are paid, and it's necessary. We had to do this. We've only got 17% of our union members who make enough to make insurance anyway, and only about 3% of our union members make a living every year. So it's a small percentage, but the income has just gone down a lot because this is a whole new model, and we've given them 14 years since they started the streaming, and giving them the discounts on the upfront pay, and to prove the model. They didn't know if they could make money in the beginning, but they're obviously making money now, and they're selling this stuff worldwide, and they'd like to keep it that way. So we need to stand up for ourselves. It's very necessary that we did this.
How does a show like so you were on the show Bosch, and then now you're on Bosch Legacy?
Yeah.
So that is on just the streaming service. So like, how does that play into?
Well, we shot season 2 of Bosch Legacy before the strike happened, and so everything's delayed for shooting season 3, and any spin-offs that would come off of Bosch and Bosch Legacy. They've got a couple that they've announced that they're going to do. But once the strike started with the writers initially, and then the actors a couple months after that, the writers have settled now, and now they have to settle so they can get in and write things now. But once the actors settle, well, then they can start pre-production and start stuff up and get things going again. But everything's shut down. But anything that was shot before and edited and all that, that's why Bosch. Season 2, Bosch Legacy, came out here on the 20th, I think, of October, and that's airing now. They delayed it. They usually come out every year with each season in April, roughly, but this year they held it to October, and that's airing now. They've got 8 of the 10 episodes that are up on Freevee TV off of Amazon. So, and all the 7 seasons of Bosch are up there too, and they can be viewed. But as far as the next season, hopefully we'll finish the strike shortly, and things will get going again, and then they'll start shooting, and everybody will start working again.
Sure. So like when Bosch, the first show ended, was there any talk? Like, did anybody know that Bosch Legacy was going to happen when that ended?
Well, I don't remember. I think they did mention that it was ending, and that they were going to start a new spinoff, which was Bosch Legacy. I don't even think they had a name initially.
Yeah. So like, is it, other than like the actors and everything, because it is on a different platform, are you working with any of the same crew, like the camera crews? Like, how does that work? Is it a completely different?
Well, they use some people that were similar. It's the same production company.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the same producers. And they this follows the books. There's a point where Bosch stopped being a police officer. He retired, or quit and retired, and he became a private investigator in the book. So this led that then off to the new chapter. Bosch 7 seasons moved into Bosch Legacy, where he's a private investigator, And so they used some of the people that were from the first 7 shows of Bosch, but they've increased the role of Maddie, which is Bosch's daughter in the show, and she's got more of a lead role now, although she was a series regular before as well. And then they bring some of the other characters back. They brought Crate and Barrel back for season 1, and we're in a little bit of season 2 as well. And a lot of the other characters, Mankiewicz and Pierce and Vega, and some of the other detectives they brought back. And they brought back J. Edgar, Jamie Hector for this second season. I should say, if anybody hasn't seen the season 2, I don't want to say too much, but
Sure.
But it's out there now.
Yeah.
And season 1 left off with Maddie being kidnapped. So I won't say anything more about what happens in season 2, but
Yeah. No, that's why I was curious about the same crew, because I watched all of Bosch, and I started. I didn't get into too much of having this show, man. I have to do a lot of research for the show, so I didn't get to watch all of the Bosch Legacy yet. But from what I did see, I mean, it did seem like a pretty seamless. Like the production and everything is.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the same Bosch character, and it just continues another chapter of his life, and it's with some of the same people, and it's great. I mean, it's being received very well, and it's just a continuation. And Michael Connelly wrote Lincoln Lawyer as well, and that series is on Netflix, and that's Bosch's half brother. The Mickey Haller character.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Matthew McConaughey played the role in the feature film Lincoln Lawyer, but the person who plays Lincoln Lawyer on the series, on the Netflix series. So Michael Connelly is basically writing and along with Eric Overmyer, and then they have other writers, and they're kind of doing both series at the same time, and then they have a couple more spinoffs that they're going to do.
Awesome.
That I think Michael announced publicly. I think the J. Edgar character is going to be an undercover FBI, working for the FBI undercover in Little Haiti in Miami. They don't have a title for it yet, but Jamie Hector is going to be the star and lead in that one. And they have yet to cast the Renee Ballard, a female detective character who was based off a wonderful real life police officer who's been one of our 2 on-set advisors all through the Bosch years, Mitzi Hartett Roberts. And she's been a graveyard homicide detective for many, many years. And now she heads up the LAPD cold case division. And they're talking about a series where they're going to have her character written into the books as Renee Ballard. And that's in the last 3, 4, 5 books. Renee Ballard has been in the Bosch books. And most of the people who work cold cases in real life are retired cops who kind of get expenses paid for and that kind of thing. And they just do it because they want to find these people who've committed murders who have not been caught. And, so we'll see. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Crate and Barrel will be in some of that. I don't know. But maybe he'll have us back for season 3 of Bosch Legacy. I don't know. We'll see. But
well, I know Crate and Barrel are a fan favorite, so if he'd be silly not to put you guys in there.
Yeah, I mean, they bring us back because they got to draw the female audience, So obviously, with the looks of Crate and Barrel, we attract the female viewers, obviously.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're having you on.
Well, I know.
Another show, man, that is just great that you're not a regular on, but you've been brought back quite a few times. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
So this year you were on the new season. This year you were brought back and you played a completely different character than your normal character.
Yeah.
Did you know, getting the call to come back for that season, that they were going to change your character, or did they tell you, come on down?
they called and said, "Hey, we want you in about 10 days. Is he free? We're going to shoot an episode to play Luther's twin brother." I called my agent and I got back to him. I said, "Oh my God, I'm like 45 pounds overweight because I had this sinus surgery and I was preparing for the back surgery and I was just horribly overweight. And I was frustrated because I wanted to be trim like Luther has always been, and then just clean shaved and play a different character and basically play Luther's brother or Mac's uncle."
Yeah.
And so instead of Luther McDonald, which is Luther, and Mac McDonald, or Mac is I getting the real life names mixed up. Rob McElhaney, but he's called Mac because his last name is McDonald. So Ronald McDonald is his name, so, which is kind of funny. And so I'm Donald McDonald, Luther's twin brother, but I was 45 pounds overweight. But I kind of changed. Instead of playing, low key and lowering the voice and, being kind of badass and tough and, macho, I just played him just a little more sensitive and likable and nice, and sweet. And because of the extra weight too, and the voice change and all that, people go, "Wow, that actor really is doing a good kind of, they thought it was another person, but it was me, because I sounded differently, but I looked different with the extra 45 pounds too and clean shaven. So, but it was fun, and hopefully I'll have my weight down again when the strike is over and I'm all healthy again, and they'll have me back as Donald and maybe Luther too. I don't know, in the same episode. That would be fun, which would be easy to do. I just do the Donald stuff, or do the Luther stuff first with the beard, and then shave it, and then do the Donald stuff. And
is it tough to do some of those Luther lines without breaking character?
No, not when you're doing the lines. What's tough is listening to them and their reactions and their stuff and keeping a straight face. But then they're cracking up when I'm doing stuff, so it's kind of like every time we do something that is unexpected, like we do a quick rehearsal before we shoot or something like that, I'm cracking up at them and they're cracking up at me, and we kind of have to do it and then crack up and then do it with a straight face the next time, because it's hard. And then you throw new things out, and if I do something different, they'll crack up a little bit, but mostly it's me cracking up at them. And my old acting teacher she'd kill me, but you were supposed to stay in the moment and not crack up at stuff. But sometimes it's just they're so funny that they do something you don't expect, and it's just it's hilarious. And sometimes but I have to stay concentrated. You have to stay concentrated in the character, and so you don't ruin a take by cracking up. But it's hard sometimes working with those guys. They're absolutely hilarious. And they have the kind of environment on set where, we enjoy it and we're appreciating each other's work. So cracking up isn't it's not like we're in front of a live audience where you really have to stay in character and you can't crack up. So we enjoy the things, and it's just impossible with, some of the expenses or things that, Charlie does is hilarious, and Rob's hilarious too. They're all very, very, very funny, and so that's the hard part for me, is trying to keep a straight face when they're doing their stuff.
Well, tell Ray about, because you talked about it a little bit on the last time you were on, but it was 2 years ago at this point. So tell Ray and our audience about how you do get into the Luther character, and like some of because you're known as a bad guy in a lot of the movies that you've played in.
Sure.
So like, how do you get into that character?
Well, it's years of training trying to explore the dark side of myself. You can really create any situation. You don't play a role that's a bad guy. And this is Luther's a funny bad guy, but I have to play him seriously to a degree so it's got a degree of honesty to it. Otherwise, it's just not believable. You see another actor just trying to be funny. And but when I play somebody tough or dangerous, it's just there's a degree of changing your mannerisms, your voice a little bit, but it's a mental change. You just either create something from your life or a scenario that's going on, or somebody did something that you can play off of. And I used to get people say, well, how do you play bad guys and kill women and children and do this kind of stuff? And I go, well, I don't think of them that way. I try to imagine. I used to imagine. I use affective memory, which is a method thing, but it's I just imagine that somebody who's playing a role. I don't think of myself as a bad guy. So let's say somebody who I'm acting with across from me, I imagine that they killed my brother or my mom or something. And let's say if I really want to play with them and make them suffer and really be intensely mean or whatever, maybe they didn't just kill my mom, but maybe they tortured her and raped her before she got killed. So then it's going to put me in a whole different mentality that I'm not just going to kill you, but I'm going to make you suffer. And I can play that, but it's using your imagination, but you have to create that reality in your mind. The audience doesn't have to know what I'm thinking. So I'm looking to them like I'm a bad guy, but in my mind, I'm totally justified in being the way I'm being, because as an actor, I have to make that real and honest for me. And that allows me to do it. So if I'm doing it with a kid or a woman or just some guy, but I'm the bad guy on the show, but in my mind, I don't think of myself as the bad guy. I have to justify it in a way, and I create whatever I can as an actor to do that. So when I play Luther, I mean, you just have to imagine that you've killed people, you're a drug dealer, and there's certain behavior characteristics that you study and you learn over the course of time. You look at people who are the really dangerous people, as opposed to the people, that are in your face, yelling and screaming and going and all that, and they're all, in a bar fight and they want to intimidate you, and they get up and they're yelling in your face and they're screaming. But see, those are the people that really don't want to get in the fight. The guys that are really dangerous are the guys that'll somebody's coming up yelling, "Hey man, what are you doing?" They're kind of like that. And you just look at them and you go, all right, take a swing. No, seriously, take a swing. And where you almost welcome it. Watch out for the quiet guys who know and give off the vibe that you can take care of yourself. And it's actually gotten me out of more than a few bad situations in real life, where I just would click that thing on, and I would just play a character in real life where I just let them know, you don't want to mess with me, but if you want to take a swing, okay, you see what happens, and people kind of go, oh, maybe I better not mess with this guy, it's just studying behavior and that kind of stuff.
Well, it works, man.
Yeah. And over time, the more you do it, the quicker and easier you can do it. So Luther, when I got cast on the thing, a lot of the actors, I remember they mentioned to me that the reason I got cast is I didn't go in trying to play it funny, where I was trying to be funny as Luther. I figured it'd be best if I played Luther really dangerous and really tough. And that way, when they would play off me, then it would be hilarious playing off that, because if I'm just trying to act real scary and I'm not really tough and I don't come across that way, it kind of diffuses the reality of the situation, and it's me trying to get laughs when I'm actually not trying to get laughs. I'm just playing a character, and the laughs are coming out of the situation or off of their reactions to me in the situation, which is where the humor comes from. And I saw that and what was it? Glenn mentioned that to me after the first season or two. He said, I don't know if you know, but that's why we cast you, is because you were the only one that played it honest with a little heightened reality, but honest to where it would be funnier playing off you than it would you trying to be funny. And so that's just how that worked out. And they wanted somebody incredibly good looking, and that's really why I got it.
Every time you throw out a line about they better have drugs in their ass the next time they come back, I think that's pretty damn funny.
What do you know about smuggling heroin through your anus? Yeah.
So I don't know if we ever talked about this. So you were they fans of yours? Like how did you have to audition for that, or like were they were fans?
I called out. It was a 1-day job for that first episode of the second season, which was the final episode of the season, I guess. And Danny DeVito had been added to that second season. And I almost didn't go to the audition. I just said, wow, geez, just 1 day. And yeah, but it's this new series. Danny DeVito's in it. And I hadn't seen it yet. And she said, you should go to the audition. So I just went to the audition, and just read it. And I slicked back my hair. I had the goatee beard already with the points. And I just played him low key and a little dangerous. And, he was really originally written to be a, multi-mass murderer, along the lines of, what's his name from Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, just somebody who's killed a lot of people.
Sure.
But after we did it, they edited the scene up to take away the stuff where I killed all the people, because they said, well, let's have Luther back, but we'll make him a drug dealer. So they edited the stuff that referred to me being a murderer out. And so I could get released from jail and then continue on in other seasons.
Yeah.
But since then, I've killed people, and I've been in jail as Luther for a while now. But
yeah, I just me and my girlfriend just ran through almost all of the episodes that you were in as Luther, and then the one as Donald this new season. Yeah. And after the newest one, when you played Donald, she turned to me and she said, "Your friend is a good actor." And I want to tell you something, Greg. That's not something she says about a lot of people that we've had on this podcast.
Oh, well, that's nice of her. I'll tell her, give me your address again, and I'll send her money. For saying that. Are you sure she didn't say he's a good looking actor, or just
well, that was actor that was in there also. Yeah,
I know it.
You already knew that.
Yeah.
All right, man, so I have to, the reason I fell in love with you, man, is some of these older movies that you were in, so I have to have to talk about them.
Sure.
Let's start with Eric's Revenge, because I know there was just a big anniversary of that just came out, right?
Yeah. I guess there was Phantom of the Mall.
Yeah. So you worked with one of our guests. He was the stunt coordinator on that, Gary Davis.
Yeah.
Pauly Shore was in that. Morgan Fairchild, the world's most interesting man, Jonathan Goldsmith. He was the owner of the mall, right?
Yes. It was great. In fact, I'm not sure, but I think that might have been my first union film. Yeah, it was fun. We just had the mall, the Sherman Oaks Galleria, and every night it shut down about 8 o'clock or 7 or whatever, and we shot through the graveyard for about 6-8 weeks, something like that, and had the whole mall to ourselves, and it was kind of fun, And I got let's see, I think I got my head chopped off, but I think before that I got a fork in my eye, and just fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of slash, but it was horror, but it was kind of tongue in cheek too. It wasn't like really scary, but it was definitely like an 80s, horror kind of thing.
Yeah.
Rob Estes was very well known after that. That was one of his first jobs. And he was just starting out, I think 19, and he ended up having the lead on the series some years after that, and I think he was on Beverly Hills 90210 as well. He became very well known. He had his own series there, shooting in San Diego. What was the name of that series? I can't remember. I mean, I'm having blanking moments, but he did. He became. I knew he was going to be very successful, but and he was good. He was the young kind of male lead star. I was kind of the bad guy security guard, but I wasn't like the bad guy of the whole thing because that was Eric, who was the Phantom of the Mall. Well, that was but that was a fun film. That was a fun film, and I that was the first time I did all my stunts for years, but that was the first time I did something where they actually said, "Hey, we're going to pay you for this stunt," and I said, "Extra," and I went, "Oh, okay," because they put a cable on my waist and then down through my leg, and I dived down head first off the elevator from the top of the elevator, and so I would appear, upside down with my head right there near Rob, the lead, like I was chasing him, and so I dived upside down. And as the elevator was rising to the third floor, I dove off the top, and then the camera would catch me just appearing there upside down, diving off the top. I did that about 5, 6, 7 times or something like that. So that was fun. That was the first stunt that I actually got paid extra for, because it's just all those action films. I just did all my stunts.
Yeah, prior to that, you were doing like Action USA that we're going to talk about next. You did a lot of the stunts in that. All
my stuff. I just didn't do high falls and full fire burns and stuff like that. But I even did my own car stunts and driving and car crashes and stuff like that. But they never had a stunt double for me. I just did all my stuff. They, low budget films, they don't have the money for that. And even as I got up into the business years later, a lot of times I get hired because I did my own stuff, and if they get a stuntman occasionally, they end up using me because it's just better if you can use the actor. So
some of the explosions in Action USA are huge.
John Stewart directed that, and he's been a stuntman for years, and he had a bad injury, a motorcycle accident during a stunt that he got injured. So he got a bunch of stunt guys together, wrote a fun film that was kind of a Smokey and the Bandit meets Lethal Weapon kind of film thing, and it was just 2 FBI agents taking this woman across the country because everybody was after her, and we're getting chased by all these bad guys and people, and it was a romp. I mean, the whole film was just stunts, just amazing explosions and high falls, fire burns, full motorcycle off of a 120-foot bridge on a full fire burn, and going off completely in flames, and cars driving into houses and blowing up, and the whole town of Waco gave us they gave us about 40 cars to completely crash that were working cars. They gave us all the police officers for free. It just section off when we're doing high falls from buildings or whatever. And Bob Brown was a very well-known stuntman, and he did some big stuff in that. Backwards through the window, 15 stories.
That was so high.
And they would section off the streets, and they didn't charge us any money for that. We didn't have to pay. They didn't charge us permit money. They just welcomed the film there, and the whole town just gave us a lot of stuff that we were able to do for not having to spend as much money as it would have been somewhere else, and which is why we went and shot in Waco, and the production company was there as well. And I guess Baylor University is there, and there were just a lot of people there that we rented hotel rooms, and we ate at restaurants, and we provided a lot of people to go there and film. That's what a lot of films do in Louisiana, excuse me, and other places around the country to get films to go there. And you give them incentives, and then they can shoot there, and a lot of people outside the business make a lot of money, and stuff like that. But that was a fun film. That was a fun film.
When you go out the back window, I forget who the other actor's name was, but what the hell's holding you guys into the car? You guys are on the back of it. It's driving. You're fighting over that gun, and I'm trying to figure out how are these guys? What's holding them still in the car?
I think we probably had somebody holding my leg. I wasn't cabled then, although we did have the window blow right when I went into the window. We had the effects guy blow the window, so it looked like I crashed through the window, but really right when I hit it, it blew, and so we came out. And then we came out fighting, and then it's just a matter of just we were just. Well, the car was maybe only going about 20 or 15 miles an hour when we were actually shooting it, but it looked like we were going more like 40 or 50 miles an hour, that kind of thing. But we just did our thing there, and I think I jumped into the truck that was.
That's what I was going to ask. The same thing tied in. That was you jumping into the truck from the car.
Oh yeah. But yeah, but it's not, I was young, athletic, I did all, it was fun, it's just fun. And you just do it's an action movie. You're going to do your action, And in those days, I wasn't even smart enough to put in hip and knee pads and elbow pads and stuff like that. And me and the other guys would be fighting, and we'd just be working these fights out and falling on the concrete over and over again. And all this stuff, and we weren't even padding ourselves up. Later on, I learned to, but even after you pad yourselves up, you do it enough times, it doesn't matter. It hurts, but when you're young, you bounce a lot more than you do when you get older.
So were you learning like the stunts from some of the old timers that were on that movie, like Hocal and where's my notes at? William Smith. Who was the other guy? Ross Hagen. Like there's some old time cowboy guys there.
Well, I'd learned that, I did all the theater years, and we had stage combat in theater, and you just know simply the camera's there. Instead of making it look like a real hit, punch for an entire audience from all angles, it was much easier to, if a camera is here and, a camera's like shooting, it's shooting this way at me and like this is the camera. I guess you can see my hand. And if a punch comes to here, like this, right? Like if I'm like this, okay, let's use the camera lens. So if I just do that and I do that, that's it. But I didn't, I only came that close. But by blocking it here, it looks like I just hit myself right there, and or sweeping across, and you whip your head, and it's not a big deal. You just do. And I used to say they'd be afraid of. Hitting you in the stomach and stuff like that. And I said, no, hit me. I want to react. I need to know if you're hitting me to react to something. You don't have to go full force, but you can, make contact, and
sure.
No, it's just playing around, it's just, you learn how to do that. And I did that. I did a lot of free theater for years. So in the early films, a lot of the low budget films that I did, it was just, I got to learn how to work with the camera, and I got better and better at, doing all my physical fight scenes and stuff. But it wasn't hard to learn if you're athletic. It's pretty simple.
Sure.
And I suppose I did learn some here and there, but it's not that just learning how to do it with the camera as opposed to in front of a stage audience.
Sure.
And but
you have any good stories about working with those guys, about
William
Smith or Ross Hagen?
Smith, yeah, I was so excited to work with him because I'd seen him on Hawaii Five-0 before that. And he's just one of the greatest bad guys I think who was ever in this film business at all, TV and film. He was the real deal. I mean, he had that deep voice, William, and he's talking like that. He was really. He was just a tough guy, and he was really tough in real life. He used to do underground fist fighting, all that illegal underground fighting and stuff in real life. He was tough. But Ross and I became very good friends for years. He produced films after the Action USA, and I did 4 or 5 with him after that. Very good friend. We used to work out at the same gym and stuff. Ross, that became a lifelong relationship with Ross. And funny guy, just amazing. In fact, I want to, I don't know, somebody I've been in touch with, Angus McFadden, who was in Braveheart, and he knows Ross well. As we were talking about writing a script, kind of an Ed Wood type of script, because Ross was just a massive low budget producer, and he loved corny, zany stuff, and he had this great sense of humor, and he was such an upbeat, amazing guy. It just, you never saw him in a bad mood. It was always positive and loved to laugh, and he had this great bellowing voice and big huge laugh. And I want to play him in a film, because I got to know him really well through the years.
That would be awesome.
And Angus called me, and we were talking on the phone, and he said, we got to write a script about Ross. And he was thinking of me playing him, because I do some things that I guess reminded him of Ross, because like Ross used to love it when I'd like look at mirrors and kiss them in the mirror and go, I love you, and do all this stuff, or I'd make lizard faces, and he just so I've done that goofy stuff, but Ross was that way too, so it was just anything just to laugh, just to have fun.
Did he do Merchants of Death also then? Was that him?
I don't know.
It was like, because I started watching that on YouTube. There's a real bad copy of it on YouTube, because you're in that also. But it's a
Merchants of Death. I don't, unless they changed the name for it. Is it called something called Merchants of Death now?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Merchants of Death. Let's see, slasher thriller, 1999.
There was Click, the Calendar Girl Murders. There was God, what were the other ones? I don't remember Merchants of Death, but unless sometimes they take the names and they change them on these films.
Yeah. Because I started watching it on YouTube, and it was a real grainy copy, so I didn't get through it a lot. But it almost seemed like the exact same crew as Action USA.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There was another one called Blood Games he was in and I was in. We shot that up. It was about a female girls softball team that went into a local town, and then they get chased and killed off.
Yeah, Blood Games. That's awesome. That's the one that I had you sent you to sign.
Right.
I love that. I love that movie, man. Blood Games. Merchants of Death is Ross Hagen, Hoke Howe, Clint Howard, Russ Tamblyn, PJ Souls, William Smith.
I wasn't in that then, and I didn't know he did, but I know he did a couple of
I thought I saw your name. Yeah, you're listed as being in that. Sydney is your name.
They changed the name. Oh, did I play the gay queen in that one?
I don't know. I didn't get through it all.
They changed the name then. That's another film that had a different name, and it's called Merchants of Death now. If I'm in it.
Oh, no, wait. Here's another title. Born. Does that ring a bell?
Born. That's it. That's Born.
Okay,
that's right.
all right.
That's when Angus called me. He remembered he was doing sound on that, and he was just starting out, I guess. And I was playing this gay queen, and not comedy. It was kind of a serious one, and I was like a pimp, but a gay and a little violent. And he complimented me. He's seen the film, and so that was called Born. Yeah. So they changed the name for that. But
yeah.
Yes, I played a very sensitive guy, but they got in my face and they made me mad, so I slapped them, and I was really angry. But you just find your feminine side a little bit, but I was still tough, I didn't see that film yet. I never saw the finished version of it. I just saw the scene. Ross sent me the scene that I did.
Okay, yeah, there's a real grainy copy of it on YouTube. That's why I didn't get through. I didn't even get to your part.
Yeah.
Of it. So you mentioned Blood Games, man. Let's talk about that a little bit. I know we talked about it before, but I love that movie, man. So and it was just Halloween, so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about another one of my favorites right after that. So just quick Blood Games stories. I know the director didn't speak any English, right? Like you had to teach them how to play baseball, right?
Who directed? That was a female director, and she was from Israel, but that was not the one. She spoke English.
Okay.
She just didn't. That was Hack-O-Lantern where the guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But but they didn't. Excuse me. Oh God, they didn't know anything about baseball, and I did. So they were trying to shoot these scenes, and then the whole thing was coming into playing softball. A women's girls softball team comes into a local town to play the local town for money, and they're all in dainty little outfits, and they didn't know how to shoot the stuff. I mean, you got first base and second base and third base and home. There's a shortstop and second base, and they thought the second baseman stands on second base and waits for the ball, and they had just no idea what was going on. And I had to tell them, well, what are you guys doing? This is not, I was drafted out of high school in the 10th round by the Oakland A's, so I do know a little about baseball, and I didn't go, but I played, so I just helped them shoot, and they kind of, and then when they intercut, they didn't understand the stuff about the game, so it's all kind of totally messed up. It's like there's one out, and then all of a sudden the inning's over, and you're over to something else over here, and then but that just makes it kind of laughable and fun, because it was, but the whole story about my character gets killed, and then that sets the town off against the girls, and then Ross's character gets killed, who's the coach of the girls' team, and Ross Hagen's character, and then the girls, they chase the girls through the mountains, and I guess they get killed off one by one. It's just but it's tongue in cheek. I mean, it's I did it for the money. I'm trying to work my way into the business. It wasn't it. You don't get to choose a lot of the films that you do, and you just work if somebody's willing to pay you, and you just work on it. And those films, they made them to sell abroad. They were never going to come out in the theaters here. They weren't big budget films at the studios, and were going to air in theaters. They sold, instead of streaming in those days, they would make a film for as low money as you could, as little. And then they would go to film festivals abroad, and other countries would come in and they'd view the film. Sometimes they'd even buy the films as a package if you had some semi name in it, or A plus or B minus name or whatever, or A B plus or A minus name. And then they'd sell it for a certain amount of money to this country, and they'd sell it for a certain amount of money, and they could air it wherever they wanted, in the movie theaters, on TV. They could do whatever they wanted, and you just sold it to different countries. And so there was a whole market of people making films for 20, 50,000, 40,000, whatever, 30,000, 100,000, whatever, not too much. And you make them as cheap as you can, and throw in a little action, throw in a pretty girl or two, and sell it abroad, and that was the market for a lot of those low budget 80s films. Now, the stuff that was a little higher budget, that had more name people in them, they did come out in the theaters, and there was really quality stuff. That's when Lethal Weapon came out, and Die Hard, and a lot of great action movies, but so a lot of the low budget films would kind of try to imitate them a little bit, and make their own version of it with somebody who might be a recognizable name, and they'd sell it abroad. And so that's how I started getting into the business, just auditioning through, they had a newspaper that had auditions in LA, and I would send my picture, and I'd go to the auditions, and I'd get either the lead good guy or lead bad guy role or something. And then I started eventually getting enough film on myself to where I finally got an agent, and I started getting into the union, and did a union film, and then finally started moving my way up. That's kind of how it happened. That's how it started. So Blood Games was one of those films, as I was working my way up, as was Hack-O-Lantern and Cartel, and although Cartel was actually not that bad, that was Ronnie Hadar who directed that, and produced it. John Stewart directed it. That was it had William Smith in it as well, and it was Don Stroud was a bad guy. He played a lot of bad guys in a lot of films for years, and that was another. But it actually wasn't a bad, for what it was. But there were some like Blood Games and Caged Fury and Hack-O-Lantern,
Yeah, but man, so for I know you got something, Ray, but as bad as the movies are and like a low budget, like what you bring to them, like makes them a better movie because you are a good actor.
Well, I appreciate it, but you do what you can. I mean, they throw scripts at you the last minute. It's kind of like soap operas or whatever. You get 25 pages or 20 pages that morning, and then they're setting up the lights and the camera, and you're memorizing the dialogue as quick as you can, and you do it. And then if you get through one take without blowing the lines, it's let's move on. We got to go. You don't get it, So they're just trying to get through it, and shoot it as fast as you can. You just do the best that you can. That's kind of where I learned in the very beginning that if everything wasn't going just right on a take, I'd purposely blow a line just because I didn't want them to say, no, we don't have time to do another take. And I said, well, we just spent an hour setting the camera angle up. I said, let's just we need another take. That was not good. And then when I learned that sometimes they go, no, that's good, we're moving on, then I go, okay, well, all right. If the take wasn't going well and we were halfway through it and it was really getting screwed up for this or that reason, we just blow the lines, just so we force them to do another take, on purpose, blow the lines, but they didn't like that, but that's what you had to do. But it was, the better projects, though, you get a more opportunity to get the take that you really like, to make the acting really right on with everything. And the lower budget projects, they don't give you the time to do it. So you just do the best that you can. That's all. But I look back at some of them, and it's I kind of shiver and I go, oh God, but even the storylines of some is just kind of a little, but I guess they become coming back. A lot of people have been watching them in the theaters and stuff, and they're well, it's like watching, I guess, when we were young and watching. Filmmakers like those Boris Karloff films, or you see some of the low budget stuff that Ed Wood made a long time ago, and you just sit back to it and you're kind of laughing at the same time that you're watching. Sometimes they're so hokey they're actually entertaining, So that's the way some of those were. Not Action USA though had tongue in cheek, but it was an enjoyable romp through the whole movie. As some of these others, some of them are funny, not trying to be funny. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that, like Hack-O-Lantern or something. Or I hate to say Blood Games. It's sometimes they're just bad because, but what can I say? I can't say it's a wonderful film, but I got to say it's funny to watch when I watch stuff that's like that from the old days,
Yeah. For a lot of us, though, it's not just the movie, it's when we saw it, because we had to go to the store, or, all of our buddies got together. We'd watch those together. So now when you see something like that, it takes you back to that place and time. So it doesn't really have to be that great of a movie because we already like it just because of when we saw it.
Yeah. And then there's stuff, I mean, I remember, I can't tell you how time, this was more of a top line of that kind of fun, goofy film like Smokey and the Bandit with Burt Reynolds, and Jackie Gleason, for God's sake. I mean, incredible actor, right? But the movie's silly, but it was a larger budget, obviously, but it's fun to watch. It's just, I've seen that on through the years periodically, and I'll just watch it because it's just. And Burt Reynolds got mugging with the camera and doing he's funny. And Jackie Gleason getting all upset and angry and all that. There's a little tongue in cheek to it while they're chasing each other, or he's chasing Burt Reynolds' character, and Sally Field was in it. So that is, it's kind of so they are fun to watch.
Yeah. Going back to Action USA, what did come out first, Lethal Weapon or Action USA?
Honestly, I
think Lethal Weapon by a year.
I
Oh,
think,
did?
and again, he didn't try to make it after.
No,
Lethal
yeah,
Weapon,
no.
But I'm just saying because it was, they were cops, and in Action USA we were like FBI agents.
Sure.
But again, I kept seeing, I was the white guy with long hair, and William was, black, and so it was kind of like Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, and we had back and forth stuff that was humorous occasionally, and we're in the middle of a shooting scene and saying something aside to each other and doing that little stuff that who was great at that was Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Was just great at the little asides, real action stuff where your life is in danger, but he would say these little things and little tongue-in-cheek stuff, and that's what Mel Gibson did a lot, and Danny Glover did a lot in Lethal Weapon. So we threw that style in a little bit, where it was, we're playing it honestly, but we had a little banter, and honest banter, but again, we didn't play just deadly serious. That's what makes it interesting and fun.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if people know this or not, but you and I, we had lunch together out in California. Yes. We're friends. I text you. Yes. When we had lunch, I remember you telling me about, because I had just shot that the little scene when I was in Friday the 13th fan film, and I was like, everything was one camera, like that we had to set everything up here, and you were like, that's the way we fucking did it all the time. And I think you told me about when you worked with Jean-Claude Van Damme about was that Inferno?
Yes.
And you had to keep setting up, like when you did the same scene like so many different times where they set the camera up.
That would be that's why things went very slow. And if you had an action or fight scene and you had to do it a wide shot with everybody in it, with one camera, big camera to set up, lighting, you got to change all the scenery, everything around. Then they got to shoot the other angle, wide shot. So they got to move the whole room and change the lighting and move the camera, set up for that. And then they come in for the medium shots, the two shots, the over the shoulder, the close-ups. And each one is a totally different setup, pointing at a different angle, 360 degrees around, because people are facing each other. So you got to cover the whole thing. And when you do it with just one camera, it was very slow and tedious work. And if you throw a fight scene into that and have to cover all those angles, now we just got handheld cameras, and sometimes we shoot with 2, 3, 4 cameras at the same time, and it's digital. It's much easier. But in the old days with one camera, you had to do it over and over again at all these different angles. And when you're doing fight scenes, you're spending the whole day sometimes on one fight scene, and you're just doing it over and over. So if that one you brought up, that was with, I think that was John Avildsen, who directed Rocky, who directed Inferno with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Pat Morita was in it. And I played a bad guy, and his character comes in, and me and one other guy, we get beat up and killed. But I had a scene where I get shot. Well, he kicks me in the balls, kicks me in the face, takes me across the room, and then I get shot with an arrow. And then John Avildsen wanted me to drop to my knees, hardwood floor, make a pause, and then come down onto my face without using my arms or anything to, shoulder to, he just wanted it to be boom, And so from standing, I'm 6'4". So going down to my knees is one drop, takes all my weight, stop there, and then go forward again. And we did it 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, 20. I did it 45 times. And I finally said to him, and, I was more vocal with other directors. I'd say, you got one more take with this, guys. That's it. I'm too, I can only do so much. But I did 45 takes of that, and my knees and my face. So what I would do is I come down onto the forehead and have it hit off the ground after I'd come to my knees and then fall flat. And I kept sneaking my shoulder, and he goes, no, shoulder, no shoulder. I want it to come down just your head. And I did it, and I did it, and finally I said, this is one more take, and I said, I can't, for you, even with the knee pads and stuff like that, you go down onto your knees from 6'4", and your whole body onto the knees, a hardwood floor. There was no padding. The camera was coming in, and I was falling right into it. So you'd see me down there. The camera was low. You could see the floor, so you couldn't put padding down there. And then boom, and we just did it over and over again. But that's. I let myself be abused a little too much on that, but and that was also after accidentally Jean-Claude during one take brought his shin up with a full leg kick up after he kicked me in the groin, and I bent over, and he had a full leg kick, came up, shin hit me right under the nose, knocked me out. He spun me around the room, and I have no idea how I got to the other side of the room, and then blood spurting out, and they all yelled. And I had a little 8 or 10 second TKO standing knockout there, and then ice packs and all that stuff, and it broke my nose, but we straightened it, and then I don't. It was an accident. Sometimes accidents happen, and
Sure.
But I don't resent it. It was just an accident, but he was so nice about it. He was so apologetic afterwards. I mean, he's French, I guess, right? So he kissed me like 200 times. Come up, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm going, oh, okay.
Sounds to me like you were too pretty at the time, and he was trying to get some of that pretty off you to make him look better.
I get that so much. Yeah. Well, that's why, I spend years trying to scum myself out so other actors won't be intimidated standing next to me on screen. But I grow the beard, the long hair. I use makeup to make me look uglier. It doesn't help, though. You can't hide it, I guess.
The last time you were on the show, you told us about another time that you were hurt in a movie with Danny Glover. I can't remember offhand because it's not in my notes. Are you ready to tell us the actor that?
That wasn't with Danny Glover.
He wasn't in that?
No.
I know you didn't get hurt by Danny Glover, but
no. That wasn't the film. That was Switchback with Danny Glover. I did not get hurt during that film.
Okay.
No, I mean, he almost, cut my what off with a knife. But no, that I think you might be thinking about Stone Cold.
Yes. Okay, Stone Cold. Yeah. Ready to tell us who the actor that hurt you on that was yet?
Yeah, that's something that I got pissed at because of his attitude afterwards. He was giving me a chokehold in the helicopter, Brian Bosworth. And he was first film out of pro football, and he had the lead in Stone Cold, which is really a great biker film. Lance Henriksen played the lead biker. William Forsythe played one of the other bad guys. It was a good film, kind of a cult biker film now. A lot of people have seen it. And I played AWOL, a biker, and ex-military guy who went AWOL, whatever. And I'm flying the helicopter. And so he's choking me out in the scene. And he was doing it so tight in the first take, or actually we're just rehearsing, and he was doing as hard as he could, using his forearm right into the throat. And I couldn't say my lines, and I kind of went like this. I'm waving. I couldn't talk. And so I said to him, I said, you gotta put my Adam's apple in the crick right there and make it look like you're squeezing really hard, but not the forearm, because then I can't talk. You're squeezing my throat. I can't talk. So put it there and then make it, like you, and then I will make it like you're really squeezing me hard. It's just a normal thing. You make it look like you give a little pressure, but then you make it look like you're using all your force and let the other actor react off of it. You don't really punch somebody in the face,
Sure.
Let them take the hit, make it sell it. And he broke another guy's cheekbone on the film, just made contact. And there was another scene where we had fights, and he kept coming closer, and punches started flicking my nose. I kept going back on each take, and I go, Brian, the camera's here. You can be a foot from my face. You don't need to make that punch come and touch my nose. You're too close. But so this was a thing from the thing. And so next take, he does it again with the forearm, and he popped my Adam's apple out of the socket. It just kind of popped right over here, and it started swelling up. I couldn't talk, whole thing. And I'm waving to the director, and I can't talk. And then I pop it back, crack it back in. And then I just said, God, Jesus. And I'm, swearing at him. I go, God damn it, what the fuck are you doing? And then I yelled at the director. I said, where the what? I'm having to defend myself. And he turns around, and instead of apologizing, he was a jerk about it. And I don't care that I'm telling this story now, because maybe now he's realized back then he was a jerk. But it's the only time I've ever had. Everybody is so nice. Accidents happen when you do physical stuff. People make mistakes. You apologize, whatever.
Sure. But
he was just a jerk about it. He was just, he was in that football mentality, you pussy, and I go, what the fuck? I shouldn't say that way. What? What? This is not what actors do. We're not playing pro football. You make it, he just didn't know anything about being a professional actor. You don't really do that. I've heard some stories about Steven Seagal and where he purposely hurt people and say to the cameraman, there's just going to be one take and I'm going to make contact. So get the shot. Jesus. And pay him off afterwards. And I had some stunt people I knew that left the film that he was on that quit on him because he did that and came over to Stone Cold, and they told me about that. But then Brian, that it's the only bad experience I've had. I've worked with a lot of wonderful people, and sometimes occasional jerk here and there, but it's very rare. But nobody was that bad with but Brian, he was immature, and he was on this macho kick, and he was trying to prove that he was a tough badass out of pro football. And his long career didn't work out for him the way little things. So, that was a film that, and I wasn't the only one he hurt on that film. So by the time they got to my scene, all these other people had been hurt. So I already knew what I was getting into with the scene with him. And so when he did that, I tried to make it very clear, this is how you do it. And he didn't do it. And he did it harder the next time, popped the Adam's apple out, and then had no apology whatsoever from him at all.
Yeah. That sucks. Yeah, so at least Jean-Claude was apologetic when he.
Oh yeah, no, and that was an accident.
Yeah,
and of course that's what normal people do. But
yeah, well, you see how far his career. I mean, he didn't. But really
that's who it was. I didn't want when I got off the interview last time. I mentioned that he played pro football, and a few people said, "Was that Fred Dreyer?" And I go, "No, because Fred was great. Fred had me on Hunter." He did a series, had me on for a bad guy for Land's End down in Cabo San Lucas. He made his own independent film called Highway 395. He had me play the lead bad guy in that. And then he did The Return of Hunter in San Diego. And he, NBC wanted to hire some, name actor to play the bad guy. And Fred just said, this is written for Greg. I want Greg to play it. And he just was good to me through the years. I mean, really. And he's a great guy, has a great dry sense of humor. And because I'm doing my stuff, whenever I meet somebody, I say, hey, I have so much respect. Thank you for hiring me. I have so much respect that you would hire someone as good looking as me to play opposite you. And then Fred just kind of looked at me and he goes, so you think you're good looking? And he didn't laugh immediately. So I'm going, oh shit, he didn't get it, or and then he was turning it back on me, Yeah. He knew I was joking, and then so he threw that back at me. So he's got a great dry sense of humor, and he's a really good guy. And I didn't want people thinking when I said somebody who did something physical. And Fred and I had some great fights we did in some of the films. Highway 395, and we had a long fight scene out in Death Valley in 120-degree temperature inside a aluminum thing, and we're fighting. And Fred was 57, I was 47, and he was so strong. And I go, God, man, that's why he should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's really a strong guy, and but he was always professional, courteous, and he had to lead in a huge hit series for years. I mean, you've got to be a good guy to do that. And he hired a lot of people, and he was really good to me through the years. And I didn't want people thinking from our last interview that I was talking about because he's the only other pro football player that I've acted with, and it was not Fred Dryer. Fred is the opposite. Fred, he couldn't have been more wonderful to me through the years. No, Brian Bosworth. And I didn't say it for years because you don't talk about stuff. You don't want to, you don't want to make waves. You don't want to say things that might keep you from getting a job in the future, whatever, that kind of thing. But there are enough people that worked with him through the years that have come out with stuff that I figure it's okay that I come out with it. Talking about Brian Bosworth, but I never worked with Steven Seagal, but I've heard a lot of real stories from people that I know dealt firsthand with him. And
speaking of sports, you briefly mentioned that you were drafted by baseball.
Yeah.
So both of those career choices, actor, baseball player, are about 1 million to 1 long shots?
Well, I played. I chose to go play baseball in college, but it didn't work out that way. I turned down the baseball scholarship to UOP and San Jose State to play. I got the football scholarship at Cal Berkeley and as a punter. And they promised that I could play baseball in the spring, and I wanted to improve my draft position with baseball. So I took and I won the starting position my true freshman year there in 1974 at Cal. And then it's a long story, but Mike White, kind of the head coach, I shouldn't say this too much, but well, he promised me I could play baseball. And then he said, everybody out for spring football when Steve Bartkowski gave up his junior season in baseball. He was a first team All-American catcher, and he chose to go for his senior season. He beat Vince Ferragamo out at Cal and to be the quarterback his senior year. And so he showed up for spring ball, and Mike White said, anybody who doesn't show up for spring ball loses their scholarship. And I didn't find out until 2.5 years later that he wasn't allowed to do that. And that's what kind of came to a head 3 years later with him. But yeah, so I didn't. I stopped playing baseball because I had a bird in the hand. I was the punter at Cal for 2 years, and then I redshirted my junior year, and then we had a little run in going into my final 2 years, and I transferred to the University of Hawaii and punted there, which turned out to be the greatest experience of my life. The people from Hawaii, my teammates, the coaches, and it was just the greatest experience I could have ever had. So the sports, I should have had a lot longer in the NFL, but I kind of, I don't want to go into a lot of the details, but I kind of missed my window. I kind of screwed the pooch, as they say. I had an injury in camp. I held out camp with Green Bay in the 79 draft and on the advice of my agent, which I should not have done. And then the next year I was with the Chargers in camp. And then during camp there, that first week, I ripped my thigh muscle from hip to knee. And I just, I kind of had said, so I didn't want to be a 26-year-old rookie and do it for another year. So I just, and they were only paying so much back in those days. So I should have had a nice long 15-year career in the NFL. But it just, and then I figured out the only other thing that I loved was acting, which I did through college. So I said, well, I did it for fun in college, 6 years of undergraduate school. So, I took acting and directing and all that stuff. And then I said, well, let me apply to a master's program, get some real heavy duty training if I want to compete against the best. And that really cemented it in for me. I got accepted and went through the UCLA's master's acting program. And so at 29 years old, I started working professionally and did theater and then PCPA out in the Solvang, Santa Maria area. And then I came back to LA to work in TV and film and had to slowly work my way up. And didn't know anybody, just started doing non-union films, trying to get film on myself to get my demo reel and just play whatever role that was thrown my way. And then eventually got a film, a union film, an agent, and started working my way up. And so that, yeah, you just life, you got a lot of paths sometimes when you're younger, and it's just, but I always had this mindset from sports that my mom was very strong that if you want something bad enough and you're willing to work hard for it and you don't give up, that you will be successful and you will succeed. And that's the way it worked within sports for me. That's why I got A's in school, and you work hard, and if you even fall short of your goal, you came close, but you're doing it. And so when I didn't know how I'd be a professional actor, but I knew that I enjoyed it, and I was going to work really hard at it, and I just kept at it, But really, it's my good looks that got to give me a career. But yeah.
Well, I mean, you keep saying it as a joke, but I mean, it's not. It doesn't hurt.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah, I know.
So let's say Major League Baseball, NFL, either one of those happens. Do you still pursue a career in acting?
Yeah, my goal, I knew because I played Scrooge in 7th grade in A Christmas Carol, and I had a flair for it. I just picked up the dialogue quick, and I loved it, and it just came out of nowhere. They just cast me, and I couldn't do it in high school because I needed to go to college. I needed to get an athletic scholarship, and all the sports were after school, so I couldn't do the drama in high school. But once I got to college, I started taking the acting classes and doing the plays and all that. And I started having, getting better and better, and having success. And it was always in the back of my mind that whenever I stopped playing a pro sport, figure 35, 40, whatever, that I would move into acting. That was always my goal. The sports just ended at 25 years old, a little younger than I thought it would. And it took me kind of a year or two to kind of figure out, okay, well, let's move on to this now. And I had to work at a few other jobs, actually making really good money. I had sales and selling insurance. I was making a lot of money, very successful salesman. But I wasn't happy, and I had to go, whoa, I can't do this for 25 or 30 years. I'm going to be miserable, and it's not just about the money. So that's when I pursued it, and I put everything into it. That's why a lot of people who want to get into the business and they want to become actors, but yeah, I'll do it for a year or two. But then, if it doesn't work out, I have this to fall back on. Well, that's fine. That's great. But I had in my mind, I was going to do it or die. I was going to live poor for as long. If I had to work for $400 a week in a small theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's what I was going to do. And I made up my mind that because I had to do that I had to do something that I loved, and I loved acting, and I did love theater too, a lot. So for me, just you gotta want it really bad or badly.
Yeah.
When you have that drive, you need that drive to succeed, because you're going to get doors slammed in your face. You're going to get a million no's. You're not good enough. You're too tall. Your hair's the wrong color. You're this or that, this or that. you have to be able to. It's just like sports to me. You work hard, you practice, you practice, you practice, you practice, you play a game, you win the game, you lose the game, highs and lows. You're not going to win every game. You're going to maybe lose a couple games in a row. You got to come back. You practice, you come back, and then boom, you win. And then maybe you lose a game. And then, things happen, errors happen. You mess a throw up, you strike out occasionally. Everything's not going to be perfect, but you keep going. You work yourself, you work as a team. That's what, it's just, that's what life is about. You got stuff that gets thrown at you all over the place, negative stuff. You got to just put your head down and overcome it, or let it slide off your shoulders. You have a moment where you go, damn it, whatever. And then you go, okay, I'm not going to let that bug me. I'm going forward. I'm moving on. And I don't care what you are in life. It's not just applying to sports or acting. It's anything. You guys know, you just have to move through it, move on. And you can't let your own mind become a negative. You can't let negative thoughts come in. Geez, I'm unhappy, I'm sad, I might not succeed at this, they may not like me, whatever, worries. You can't, you gotta turn. You can't go into, you can't go up, bottom of the ninth with a man on second and behind by 1 run, 2 outs. And you can't think, oh, geez, I'm probably going to strike out. I hope I don't strike out. And everybody's going, no, you're up there going, I can't wait. I'm glad I'm up here, have a chance to win the game. And you want to be in that spot. And then when you're in that spot, man, I'm gonna get a hit, and it. And you got to think, and maybe you don't get a hit every time, but you think you are. And you got it's positive attitude, and it's all about, all that. So it's for acting. I use that with auditions. You get a lot of no's. You have to go into each one without a negative attitude, positive all the way. I'm going to get this. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to kick ass, whatever. And it's just like the sports. You can be in the Hall of Fame getting 1 out of 3 hits in baseball, for your career. And that means 2 out of 3 hits you grounded out or flied out or struck out. And that puts you in the Hall of Fame with a 333 average, so that's kind of the way I look at it. It's just, and that's the way sales was.
I would not be able to deal with that rejection. Like with the, if I didn't get every role, I would just fucking want to kill myself.
Well, yeah, but have you ever done any sales? Have you ever done any?
No, I mean, not. I mean, yeah, I sold fucking weed forever. But
the difference between sales, if you're selling a house, or you're selling a car, or you're, even a service. Let's say you're a painter or something, and you're painting a house or something. You try to do a good job. But you're selling the car. If you don't get the sale, well, they don't like the car, or they don't like the house, or maybe, whatever. But it's the actor thing is they don't like you. And you can't let it, you got to think, there's just a lot of people competing for the role. They're matching up with different character type, different looks, different ethnic groups, heights, weights, they're matching up. There are a lot of reasons why somebody might get cast over another person, and you just can't take it personally. Just like sales, you just can't take that personally. Even though
that's the first thing I tell people when they say, hey, I want to be a podcaster. I say, how's your skin? Is it nice and thick?
Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to love you.
No.
Everybody loves us, though, Ray.
Well, of course. Everybody loves you guys. Of course. Absolutely.
Greg, your life is fascinating, man. But another aspect of your life that I want to talk about that I just found out the other day is really fascinating. Like your dad was Howard Hughes's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Like that. Tell us. Did you ever meet Howard Hughes?
No. I was a baby. I was in my mom's tummy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But she worked for Howard. Was head of human resources and worked for Howard in New York. and my dad, out of World War II, became an attorney after graduating second in his class from Annapolis and fighting in World War II as a commander on a destroyer. And then after Annapolis, he got his law degree and worked as a pro tem judge and negotiated the building of the Kennedy JFK Airport out in New York between the city of New York and the 5 major airlines. And apparently Howard thought he did such a great job in the negotiations. He was a fair, reasonable, just a good man. Honor, integrity, loyalty, kind to people, never raised his voice, got people to live up to, expectations rather than demean them, that kind of thing, positive reinforcement. And so Howard hired him on the spot after the negotiations. And that's how my dad met my mom, who was very close to Howard, working in the offices and hiring and all that. Mom also taught flight instructor training as well. But so they got married, and then Dad left. And so Howard that was after the Beverly Hills crash, where he broke 120 bones in his body. So, and he lost a lung. And because all these movies about him being all crazy and worried about germs and all that, well, that's when he got older and he lost a lung and he had a lot of broken bones and he was very ill and sick. And yeah, he got concerned about germs later on, but he wasn't like that when he was younger. But my dad went up in the right seat of the Spruce Goose, its only flight. He was my dad was Howard's good luck charm, is what my dad used to say, or my mom used to say about my dad. And he worked for him for about, what I'm guessing, then they pulled him away from Howard for Korea. And so Dad resigned his commission after 2 years in Korea and then married my mom. And then we moved up to the Bay Area up in Northern California. And so I was still working with Howard, still doing stuff with Howard, because I was in my mom's stomach when he would call my dad at like 3 a.m, because he worked 24 hours a day. He never slept. And Howard Hughes. And my mom, she's a feisty Italian. She was a feisty Italian woman. And she told people what was what, no matter who they were. And I think that's why Howard liked her. And, so she's pregnant. She needs her sleep. She's calling Dad at 3 a.m. and she just shouts, "Bob, get off that phone. You tell Howard." And she, and Howard could hear her in the bed next to him. He said, "Howard, you stop calling Bob in the middle of the night. I'm pregnant and I need my sleep. Bob, hang up the phone." And I had to go, "Howard, I have to go." And my dad was very mild-mannered, and my mom was Italian and very opposite from mild-mannered. She was a character. So that's the story I got from my mom, and then Dad moved away from Howard. He went out onto his own, but then he came down with cancer when I was 6 years old. Started getting treatments at 7 years old, and I had 3 younger brothers. One that was just born, and he survived what was the terminal cancer, but the treatments destroyed his body, and he suffered through the next 28 years of his life, pretty disabled. But he was a great man. And but that was and so was my mom. She was an amazing woman who raised 4 boys on her own, went to work 100-hour weeks, 110-hour weeks for 25 years to keep us in a good neighborhood and pay the bills for a sick husband. And there's some books that I wish I could interview them more now. My dad didn't talk about a lot of stuff from the past. I found most of the information out from my mom, who knew all the stuff my dad did. But he was a good man. He could have been president of the United States. I mean, he was that kind of guy. Just a good, although maybe he was too honest to be president of the United States. Yeah. He was a really honor, integrity man down the line, and good man. So
that's an awesome story, man.
Yeah, that's a story. So I remember I was just in my mom's tummy, and after that they went on and they had a different life.
Yeah. So I grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, and in that the Howard Hughes movie that Leonardo DiCaprio played,
Aviator.
The Aviator. Yeah, they talk about a crash I don't think Howard Hughes was flying the plane. It was one of his planes, though. It crashed in Reading, Pennsylvania. And the guy that I used to work for, his dad actually remembered seeing that plane on fire, like because he was a roofer all of his life, and he was up on a roof, and he remembers seeing that plane on fire, like flying over Reading. I always thought that was
That's
cool.
in Pennsylvania, another crash. Yeah, that's why he never, after the Beverly Hills crash, where he skidded the roofs of some homes and then crashed on the Beverly Hills golf course.
Yeah,
and that's where he broke all those bones and lost the lung. After that, I think he stopped, and he was flying then. He used to test fly the new planes. He was the test pilot, and I think that was when he stopped doing that after that one. But he still did he was the pilot for the Spruce Goose, but he was a great man. He was a great American. I mean, he did a lot of stuff to help the government in the wars and the research, put a lot of money into the planes and a lot of stuff. And he was also a filmmaker. He did all these. He was just amazing.
Yeah. So the Spruce Goose only went up one time, and your dad was in that flight, on that flight. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, not a lot of people, it wasn't publicized, but yeah, he was in the right seat. He was Howard's good luck charm. He got in the air for 17 seconds, and then that was it. And then it was an all wooden plane. So think about it. Why would you make an all wooden? It's not. But it sat there for years down in San Pedro and was a tourist attraction for a long time. And,
nice.
Yeah. So I guess that's what Mom, she first got hired out of business school out of Delaware, and she taught the flight instructor stuff because he was involved with all the plane stuff too. But then she moved into the human resources, and she was by his side when he would hire people. She was psychic. So she told Howard not to hire this guy because she got a psychic thing. She could describe pictures, tell you where missing objects were. She really was psychic.
Go back to the flight instructor thing. She was teaching.
Well, yeah,
pilots?
it's a simulator.
Yeah.
She did simulator training for pilots, but Howard hired somebody that she told not to hire, and a year later, that the guy stole a whole bunch of money from Howard. So every meeting from then on that Howard hired somebody personally, she was sitting in on that meeting in the back of the room, and he would just, and the person would leave the room, and he'd say, "Mary," and she'd go, "Yeah, he's good," or "She's good," or whatever, and hire him. But she would because she was psychic. She could tell. And she would constantly amaze me as I was growing up. I met people that were beyond her psychic abilities through the years, but she definitely had a skill. I had things that I'd lost, and I'd say, "Mom, I lost my keys. I don't know where my keys are. Or my ring. I had a Cal ring." And she'd just think in the kitchen, and she'd go, "It's on the far left side of the couch. Reach down in the corner." And I'd reach down by the pillows, and I'd reach way down, and I go, "Nah, it's not here, Mom. It's not here." She goes, "It's reach down farther." And I'd reach down farther. I go, and there it would be. And I just, and she just had, she get these pictures and images.
Wow. Greg, thanks so much, man, for taking the time. Ray, what else do you have for Greg?
All I got left is what we call the real question.
Oh, what's the real question?
You got 60 seconds to answer this one. Casey's the timer on this one. He's in charge.
Okay, 60 seconds. Wait. Hold on.
All right.
Wait. Okay. Go ahead.
All right.
Had to get that in.
Who has the prettier blue eyes, you or Frank Sinatra?
Oh, Frank Sinatra's eyes were blue, weren't they?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Old blue eyes.
Blue eyes.
Well, I always used to occasionally, when I was a kid, they used to say the Paul Newman blue eyes. His were a little lighter. I don't know Frank Sinatra's, but you know what? They can have prettier eyes, but I've got the rest of this. So, I don't know who's got better eyes, but as far as overall, facial features, Paul Newman, Frank Sinatra, they were attractive. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like they were ugly. It's just, they weren't quite at my level, but they did okay for themselves. you know.
Their
But-
nicknames weren't Mr. Good Looking.
No, exactly. Nobody ever called Frank Sinatra or Paul Newman, "Hey, Mr. Good Looking," but for some reason they do that with me. I don't know why. You know, just maybe it's because
Greg.
it's on the back of all my mirrors.
Plug away, man. Please tell everyone where they can find you. And then I'm going to hit end, but I want you to stick around because I want to talk to you about a couple things. So
It's great to see you guys again, and I wish you the best luck and success. You guys are great.
thank you, sir. Plugs, where can people find you?
Me? Where
Yeah,
can
you.
people find me? Well, I'm here. You know, Bosch Legacy is out. Watch Bosch Legacy. Crate and Barrel show up in that, and Troy Evans is wonderful. He's become a wonderful friend. He's a great talent, and he makes me look good most of the time when I don't screw up. But you know, it's just been a pleasure working with him all these years. So catch out Bosch Legacy Season 2. And that's what's out now. As far as anything else coming up, we shall see.
Awesome, man. Thank you again, Greg. We appreciate it, man.